y'all? Welcome to another Quarantine with CorinthTeens Daily Devo, where we spend about 5 minutes digging into God's Word and answering a question together. If you tuned into yesterday's video, you would remember that I said that the gospel really begins with this, that you simply just sit down and you have the gospel in your lap and you simply let God sing truths over you. That's what Paul is reminding us in the book of Ephesians, and really the first 3 chapters. But it doesn't stop with the idea of sitting. At some point, everybody needs to actually get up and begin to walk, to take their steps. Now, you might have seen a baby try to learn how to walk, and they get to the point where they're able to pull themselves up on a piece of furniture and stand there for a minute, and then they begin to patter their feet back and forth. And then, of course, you have the people who are trying to help the baby walk, and they'll guide them with their hands and take steps with them until eventually the baby is able to walk. And the thing about this is that once you learn how to walk, it's kind of something you don't forget. You're at a point in your life right now where you don't have to wake up every morning and remind yourself how to walk. Now, you might have trouble walking after laying in bed too long or after playing a tournament of your sport and your legs are exhausted, but you know how to walk. And this is what Paul is getting at as he continues to write this letter to the Ephesians. In chapters 1, 2, and 3, he says, sit down, shut up, and remember the gospel. In chapters 4, 5, and the beginning of chapter 6, Paul is urging the church to learn how to walk. In fact, chapter 4, verse 1, he says, I therefore urge you, I beg you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Later on in the book of Ephesians, he says, I want you to no longer walk as the Gentiles do or as you once did, but I want you to walk this way, that you should put on new clothes and put away the old one, that you should put away falsehood, as it says in verse 25, and that you should speak the truth with each other, that maybe in verse 29 you let no corrupt talk come out of your mouths, but only that which is good for building people up as fits the occasion, that you would let all bitterness and wrath and anger be put away, that you would be kind to each other. And then in chapter 5, verse 1, that you would be imitators of God. And then in verse 3, that all impurity and immorality and covetousness would be put away from those who call themselves saints, and that filthiness and foolish talk and crude joking would be something that you wouldn't have because it's not fit. It just goes on and on and on about these spiritual things that we can do simply just by learning how to walk. For Paul, spiritual transformation into Christ-likeness is a journey. You just continue to take step after step after step. And you walk. But you don't walk alone. You walk with Christians on your left and on your right, helping you and encouraging you, just like a parent would with their baby. You walk with Jesus, with the Father, who is in relationship with you. And because you continue to take steps, hopefully, eventually we get to the point where we simply are imitating the character of God. I long to get to this point. I hope that you get to this point. But this is what we are challenged to do, is to simply just get up and walk. Here's my question for you today. What are some steps that you need to take next? And maybe you've learned how to do one thing. That's great. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. But what's the next step? If you are walking and you're on this journey of a relationship with the Lord, where are you going next? What is the right foot in front of the other leading you to do? What's the next step that you need to take in order to become like Christ? Is it confessing a sin that you've got a problem with? Is it forgiving someone who's hurt you? Is it trying to get rid of a habit, like maybe some inappropriate joking or some coarse language that comes out of your mouth sometimes? Or is it something like trying to remember what Jesus has done for you. Whatever it is, reflect on this question: what is your next step? I love you guys. I hope that you are doing well, that you are staying healthy. Hang in there, and I'll see you next time.